Hey guys, Zelonius here. Welcome back to another video on the channel. I'm very excited for this one, and this is a really important one. Just from one stream last night, my first stream back on Twitch, I had so many questions about the new tactics, so many people saying they're confused, saying they don't understand it. Loads of comments on social media about this as well, even some on my YouTube. So I thought I would get this video out early. You need to watch this one. I'm going to explain tactics from the top to the bottom, break it down for you 100%. I'm going to go through all the new features of the new FC IQ custom tactics, and then I'm going to show you exactly how to build your dream tactic from the start to the finish. So stick around, this video is going to be really helpful for you. The team management section here is where you go to. It looks at first a bit overwhelming for people considering we've had the old tactic system for a long time. I am going to, towards the end of the video, go through my tactic a bit and explain exactly how I set it up, and I will build a tactic from scratch so you can see how to do it and then go and make your own. But first, what I think we need to do is we need to go through some of the pitch notes. I've read them. This is the longest pitch notes I've ever seen, and I'm going to break down some of the key points for you and go through it so you don't have to go through it yourself and read it yourself. So, this pitch notes article, FC IQ Deep Dive, came out on the 21st of August, I think it was. Yeah, you can see that there. And it is the longest I've ever seen. Let's just scroll down and watch. Look how much there is. Look at the right thing there. It's barely moving. This genuinely took me over half an hour to read and digest properly, I think. You guys don't want that. So what I'm going to do in this video, I'm going to break down the key stuff that you need to know that is going to help you understand the new tactic system on FC25. So, from the top, we've got player roles. These are brand new. Work rates are gone. EA have removed work rates. You're not going to have high-low players anymore. A player's work rate and how much they move is going to be tied to two things: their player role and what their player role actually is in terms of if it's a plus or a plus plus. So, back to the game very brief. Are you sick to death of getting out teamed on FC24? Want that God squad you've always been dreaming of? Check out IGGM.com today. The best and most reliable place to get coins for your ultimate team. Use the link in the description and code ZEL at checkout for a 5% discount. Check out IGGM.com today. Briefly, you can see here, I go to player roles, and then I'm looking at Tushimeni. You can see the green area of the pitch. That green area of the pitch symbolises where Tushimeni will operate. If I change his role, you can see there, deep line playmaker, he basically sits in the middle. If I go box to box, he pretty much goes all over. There are going to be pros and cons to each player role. There's going to be different combinations that are going to work really well. And also, I think this new system does work quite well for allowing you to more customize and create your actual style of play, or in turn, replicate real-life football tactics, which is something that has been distinctly lacking, in my opinion, over the last few years on FC games. So, that is an important starting point. The player role will affect where your player actually moves, the work rate, how they attack, where they are with the ball and without the ball. On previous games, I feel that it was too easy to basically cheat the tactic system and be able to just take a player, have him counter-attack, and then park the bus when he defends as well. With the new system, if you want to go have players who are going to be more attacking and operate dangerous areas, they're probably not going to be able to operate the defensive areas as much. So, player roles, that is a key thing. That is probably the biggest part of the tactical system now, in my opinion. If I had to say the three main parts of the tactic system now, going back to the game, we're going to flip between the two. I think that's the easiest way to explain it. You've got the team tactics. So the team tactics, it's going to be, I'm going to put the formation as its own thing. You can change the formation here in a variety of ways. My main one that I'm using right now is the 4-3-2-1. And then you can change the build-up style. So you can go balanced, short, or counter. Short's obviously short passing, balanced is a bit middle, and counter's more direct. And then defensive approach. This is different. On previous games, how high you put your line, or depth it was called, didn't actually affect how high your line was. It just affected how high the press. This one actually does seem to affect how high your team sits. I've played against some people who clearly have got this really high, and they don't track the runs. They play really annoying offside traps, which are really hard to play against, and they do push up really high up. That is, again, more reflective of real football. You can manually adjust it, or you can just go high, aggressive, or deep. I'm going to discard these. Oh no, has it changed my actual tactic? No, I discarded the change. You can see the actual player roles and ways I've got the player set up. So you've got the formation, you've got the actual build-up style and defensive approach, and then the third part, which I think is the biggest part, is the player roles. So you can see the different player roles here, where they operate. You can even do it like this. So you've got the actual player role there. I think there's 31 of these, and then you've got focuses here that can change. You can even see with these, it does offer a little bit more text about how it works, but those player roles in game, apparently there's 31 different player roles, and I think 52 combinations of the player roles and focuses you can put on them. So they're going to be a big deal. We'll get to team tactics and smart tactics later in the video. So player roles, really, really important. This is something that I've tested in game to see what I thought of it. It's definitely a thing. Yeah, you can see there. Each role has 1 to 3 focuses. There's 52 unique combinations, but I think when you put all these together, that's going to be very different. I've used Trent and Kimmich. Trent and Kimmich both have a plus player role. You might be thinking, what on earth's that? I use Trent predominantly as a false back in mind. The term that I would tend to use in a false back would have been an inverted fullback. I mean, that's the more common football term. When Trent's a false back, he's a plus at false back. That means he's world class in that role. He operates kind of as a defensive mid when we're with the ball. So you can see this. Let's go look again at Trent's player role. So you see with the ball, Trent as a false back defend, that can be a balanced as well, operates there as like a holding CDM deep line playmaker. Without the ball though, he still defends like a fullback. So you're not just going to have players completely wacky all over the place. If I put him as an attacking wing back, he does operate like there. So we'll show what it looks like with that quick. Actually, I'd play Trent in my more attacking high press formation as an attacking wing back. So let's look. You can see there, Trent's there. That is very different to the false back in terms of his actual starting position. So you can see there, the player roles are going to make a huge difference when you play a movement and where they are. Synergising these, making them work well, is going to make a big difference, in my opinion, to tactical success on this year's game. It's quite simple in essence, where the player role decides where a player generally should be, but actually making a tactic that works well, I think it's going to take a lot of tweaking and trial and error, and I think it's quite exciting. I think this is a cool new system that we've got. You can see the half winger there. I tried that. I didn't like the half winger as much. I do think it can work with a false back. I wasn't a huge fan though. You can see here with the ball, without the ball, how it looks up. These are all the player roles here. At some point, I will probably go through all these player roles and say what my opinion of them are and which ones I think are the best. So the philosophy here. It says, let's discuss our philosophy, blah, blah, blah. We don't need to look into that. I don't think that's that big a deal. Role breakdown. So this one here, they just go through every single one. I think you can take your time to read through this if you want. You can see all these in game. Don't really care about that in my opinion. It's pretty obvious what they should do. So we're just going to scroll through these. Role familiarity. Now this is important. I haven't had enough time to really fully test and see how important I think this is or isn't. But effectively, players can either be one of 4 things. They can be plus, which means they are world class in that role. They can be plus, which means they are good at that role. They can have nothing there. So like Mendy as a fullback role defend. He's still a left. He's familiar with the position. So if you find a player like, let's look at my team for example. Kingsley Coman, if we look at all the roles, as a left winger, he can play left winger, but he's not a plus in any of these roles because that's not his main position. I think his main position is left mid. And then if we look at Lamine Yamal, I keep calling him Lamal. He has 2 pluses and one that's just a normal. Then Harry Kane, he has a plus on false 9, but a ++ on advance forward. Bit where they talk about the tactical familiarity and role familiarity, that's pretty important. Simply put, when a player's in their best role, especially with ++s, they'll do a much better job. If they're on no role, so let's look here. Look in my team. Someone like Gavi in this role, he will still play the role fine, but he won't get extra bonuses to the movement. It's not that big a deal. One thing that I've seen a lot of people saying though is when they're playing players out of position, it's making a big difference. So you've got your 4, you can have ++, which means they're world class in a role. You've got the plus, which means they're accomplished in the role. You've got the normal, which means they can play the role, but what is it? It just means they can play it, they're competent. And then out of position, it means they can't play that role, basically. You can technically put them there in game, but their movement will be worse, the transitions will be bad. They will look like they're a player from previous years who were massively off chem and just not able to play properly. It's going to be a big hindrance. Would I be changing my formation and tactic uploads to get all my players on ++, no matter how it affects tactic? No. If you put players in their ++s and you just have half wing, if you put both your centre mids as half wingers, you've got no one else in the middle, you tick because you've got 2 half winger ++ centre mid. You'll have no one in the middle. Don't constantly change your team up purely just to get ++s in. I wouldn't recommend that, but make sure your players are not out of position. That is the key takeaway, in my opinion, when it comes to the familiarity. I think if you don't mess that up, it'll be fine. You can do player swap here, where you can press triangle and quickly swap players' position. That's similar to what it used to be like. These team tactics, I'm not going to go over these really. It's basically just real life football clubs, replicas of their tactics. You can take these if you want to be lazy and just copy them, or try them and see if you find them fun in game. For me personally, I'm just using my own custom ones and tweaking and testing that. We know formations are pretty key. There's lots of different formations. One thing that I think is interesting with the new tactical system is how you can change it to make it play like certain ways. So my formation here defends like a 4-3-3. Yeah, that's the point of it. In game though, the wingers get a lot more tucked in. That is a lot more like the 4-3-2-1 from EAFC 24. It plays like it in game as well. So you can have formation that in one essence plays like a certain formation, but in another plays like another one with the way the player roles work. So that's pretty interesting. I like that and think that's got a lot of flexibility. However, with this new out of position thing, it is basically restricting and hindering people from doing the old thing where you would start in a certain formation purely for chem and then swap in game. So Vinny Jr., for example, is a left winger. He gets ++ as an inside forward there. He can't play cam. You could play him cam in game, but if you start him as a left winger and he's got ++ familiarity and then you switch to the 4-2-3-1 in game and play him as the cam, he'll be out of position, he will play much worse. So that is an issue. They keep the chemistry boost, but they don't keep the role familiarity. So it's going to make it a bit harder to change formations up completely. Bear that in mind. That is probably the most restrictive thing about this. Interested to see what you guys think about that. If there's a big con or negative of the new system, I would say it's that. But at the same time, it does stop people just going for stupid stuff in completely wacky teams, but some people might like that. The defensive approach, we've already talked through. This is basically just how high you push. You can customize this. I've been either using around 40 to 50 or aggressive right now when I'm losing the game. Build-up style, very obvious. Tactical presets, these are something you can use off of managers. You can get a manager's tactical preset. I'm not using them. I'm using my own custom tactics again. The reset tactic button can put something back to the start. These things here, they should be fairly self-explanatory, but if you want a more in-depth breakdown of what each one does, you can read through those. Custom tactics, this is what we've been doing. You can have 5 custom tactics in game. You can use a code. I'm going to put the code up at the end of the video for the formation that I've been using mostly, and then I will do an in-depth video about that tactic later on this week to go over my tactic more in depth. You can change the name of them. You can see you can have multiple ones as well. I'm going to show you how to set up a new tactic. The code bit's really nice. Team management, you can see the comparison stuff here. It's pretty self-explanatory. You can set up your corners. This is really nice. So you can see, you can actually choose where your three main players are in corners. The smart tactics. This one is something I've seen people getting confused about. So you can set up to 5 custom tactics. At the moment, I have 3. On previous games, you had 5 options, and you just press left, left, or right, right, and you could flick between them with the directional arrows. The way you do it now is you go left on the directional arrows, and then it comes up with all your tactics. You press the relevant one, whichever one's green and ticked will be what you currently use. In game, to see this, which one it will be, it's whichever one has the green tick and says active. So you can see here, the green tick and active is for Zel433. You can see the code there if you want to copy it. I will go over it more in depth on a future video. You can see the code for my more attacking one. That's not active. So in game, to switch to that, I would need to press left and then switch to whichever one says Zel attack. Makes sense? In terms of other things that are different, where I've got it. So this is an interesting one. If you want to do a quick tactical change and just make your formation that you've got more attacking, you can go defending or attacking. This basically, if you had balanced passing, if you went attacking, would change it to counter. If you had balanced line, it would go to I think it's the one above, which is like, it's not aggressive, it's high or something like that. And if you go defending, it goes 1 down. It's a pretty straightforward thing. And in terms of quick tactics, they've removed quite a lot. Don't know what I think of this. There's a new one, overload set pieces, just gets more people in the box. Offside trap is still there. Instead of down and up, well, was it? No, was it down last year? I can't remember. It's now up twice to do it. To turn team press on, up and left. And then game box and overload set pieces is still there. It does put some tactical suggestions on there for you. When those come up, you can press down. And then when those come up, it will give you some of these options. Mess around with those. I'd rather just use my own custom tactics personally. The substitutions things is an option. I've not really experimented with that, but that's something you can do. Quickly now, to end the video, we're going to go over how you set up your own tactics. So, from the... We're not going to save the change in case I've accidentally changed anything that I didn't mean to. From the team section, where you can actually see your team and you put your players in, you go to team management. New tactic. Zel test, we'll call it. How bad are the menus, by the way, on the game this year? They're absolutely shocking. So slow. So Zel test. It just, every formation as a preset starts as a 4-3-3 flat. So you can mess around with these different presets. You can have a direct, that would go 4-1-4-1. You can go cautious. I don't know how the 4-1-2-1-2 narrows are cautious. Or you can go custom. You can look through all these different formations. I'm not going to actually use this one. It's purely just showing you how the formation would look in game. We'll go the 3-4-1-2. Now, I want to do my build-up style. Short, counter, or balanced. You can see at the bottom it changes what it says. We'll go short. We'll go ultra aggressive. I was right, it was high. Triangle to customize, we're going to go all out. Now we've done that. That is very simple. It's a lot quicker than it used to be. The player roles is where it matters more though. We're going to look for our player roles. So, Harry Kane, you can look through the different ones here. Press triangle, this gets you a quick way of seeing what they're good at. We're going to go false 9, make Harry Kane drop into the midfield a bit more. Can Lamine Yamal play striker? No. So obviously the team I've got here wouldn't suit this. You wouldn't pick this formation from because it's got out of position players. He's a plus in this role, so we're going to keep him there. We're going to put 2 Shemeni as a holding, because I think that's important for this type of formation. Box to box on Gavi. We're going to get some width from our wingers. We're going to get them more attacking. Want all our defenders to have ball playing defender. I think Van Dijk's a plus, yep. Go sweeper keeper. And from here, you can now see, without the ball, it looks like a 3-2-1-4. With the ball, it defends more like that. There is loads you can do, but hopefully that's showing you how to set up tactics. It's explained to you exactly what it takes when it comes to change tactics in game, how you can't really change formation now in terms of you can't start in a formation for chem and then completely change it in game, how you change tactics, the role familiarity, how all the new tactic settings work. There's quite a lot, but hopefully this has broke it down for you. If there's any questions or anything you're still unsure about, please do let me know. As always, keep it spicy. I do hope to see you on the next one. Peace.